is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. My God, it's time again, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday night. And with all Wednesday nights comes 2 fun-filled hours of the Paranormal Portal. So, I don't know about you, but I've been ready for a couple of days now to get back in the saddle. I had a good couple days break. Don't get me wrong. I've been working on some projects pretty hardcore and made a lot of progress. But it is always good to be back in the driver's seat, launching us down the infinity that is the Paranormal Portal. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope your week is going great. It's hump day. Hump day, as Don says. And unfortunately, Don couldn't join me tonight. He got tied up at work, and so it's just me, but I called for help. I reached out into the nethers, and that sounds terrible. I reached out on the phone and I said, Sheldon, what you doing? You want to come on the show tonight with me? And he said, why, sure, I'd love to. So without further ado, let me welcome my firstborn son, my wingman tonight here on the portal, Mr. Sheldon Thomas.
That's right. I am not an apparition. I am actually here on a Wednesday, which feels weird, but I'm always glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. It's always fun for me to be able to have you here. You know, of course, when Don can't be here, that's a awesome alternative because it's just a lot more fun for me to be able to talk to somebody, and not just that, not just anybody. You know, granted, you've been doing amazing on here, and I'm getting a lot of feedback from people that are really enjoying you on the show. So, thanks for making it work tonight. This will be a lot of fun.
Well, thank you, everybody, for those kind words, and I just hope I can bring the best co-hosting show that I can do.
Oh, by God, let's do it. Let's just see what kind of magic we can pull out of the hat tonight. But
Let's see.
You just stitched that all together and threw it out there, didn't you?
I did. That's exactly what happened.
That was so funny. I mean, in a good way. It was a good funny.
Okay, not laughing at me, with me, that type of thing.
You are laughing. I would be lying if I said I wasn't. But no, it's great. It's fun to have all of you here as well, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. Glad that Alicia made it. She caught a live show finally, so this is good. I hope your sound's working now, Alicia. The show has been launched. But ladies and gentlemen, if you ever notice that, like you're not getting notifications or something on nights when you know we're doing shows, which is Wednesday through Sunday nights, check your YouTube settings. Check and make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. Check that the bell is still rung. I don't know what happens, but I've heard from many listeners, and it's nothing regular. It's just sporadic. Like, oh my God, I wasn't getting notifications. I checked and I wasn't subscribed. So I don't know what it is. Now, in all fairness, I do know YouTube's got a megalithic site. I mean, they've got a huge technical site. It's enormous. They're always upgrading. They're always working on things. And as such, having done web pages myself, and knowing when something should work and finding it odd that it doesn't. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast with computers and networks and with a complex system like YouTube. So I know some people like to think, oh, they're trying to cut off all my subscribers and they're trying to shadow ban me. And I really don't think that's. I'm not saying it never happens, but I don't think that's the case for us. I don't think we're probably on their radar real big anyway. But definitely check your subscription. Make sure you're still subscribed, and make sure that you still have the notification bell rung, and you should get notified. Again, even that's not a foolproof thing. Many people that have that bell rung and are subscribed still aren't getting notifications, and I don't know what to tell you then. But anyway, we got a lot of fun on deck for tonight, as usual. We've got a lot of material to work through as the night goes on. We're going to do a couple of the Germer files tonight, the Sasquatch Chronicles shorts. Again, special thanks to Wes Germer and Sasquatch Chronicles for letting us put those on the show and showcase them here for you guys. They've been a lot of fun. Got a lot of great feedback from them. I can't take any credit for them, obviously, but it's just a real honor to be able to put them on the show for you guys and to tell you that if you want to watch more of those, definitely head over to the YouTube Sasquatch Chronicles site and check them out. Wes has been really a machine uploading these shorts, these short videos from his show. So definitely check it out. But we're going to go through that. We're going to go through the news, obviously, and we're going to go through some other strangeness. There's a lot of things I have on deck. I'm not sure what we're going to actually get time to do. I'm getting there. I got my own.
There's at least one in every show.
I got my own notification back at me. Wow. Okay. I guess I'm subscribed to my own channel. All right. But we're live now, in case anybody was wondering. That was what that notification told you. So there's a lot to go through tonight. Hopefully we'll get through as much of it as we can. But remember, throughout the course of the show after the news, if you want to call in and be a part of the discussion, you sure can do that. And you can call in by dialing 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. That's the numbers. And it's right above my head, right up there, in case you forget later and like, oh, I want to call in. What's that number? It's up here. It's up there. So it's kind of hard to see. And if I don't point it out, I don't think people even see it. It's such small font. Yes, I do intend to make that bigger someday. It's always on my to-do list somewhere. But anyway, let's see. Hi, Sheldon. You are super. That's from Sandy Hellman, she said.
Yeah.
That's nice. Wow. Getting some love, Sheldon.
I know.
That's really sweet. How about me, Sandy? Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm just being a dick. Sorry. All right, let's. What about me? Am I super too? Sorry. I'm just always having a fun time here on the show, as you can tell. And if you're new to the show, it doesn't get much better than this. This is about what you're going to deal with for 2 hours. So,
oh yeah, peak content's right here.
Peak content. That's right. But anyway, let's see. What do we got? Anything else, Sheldon, that I'm not remembering? I think I got everything on the front end here.
I think you covered everything.
Okay. Well, then all I can tell you is I hope you all are ready, because we're going in. Boom. That's it. We're live, Sheldon. It's official. Sheldon doesn't know he's still muted.
That also happens at least once a stream. So there we go. Got that out of the way. Now we're good.
One of these times I'm just going to look at this and go, yeah. No, yeah. Just see how long it takes.
Don't do that.
See how long it takes you to figure out. Nobody can hear you. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. That'd be hilarious. Oh, anyway, what do you do? Just saw that now. Rachel gets it right. What did you saw?
Oh, Rachel said the super apple doesn't fall from the. Oh my God, the super apple doesn't fall far from the super tree.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Rachel. That was a compliment to me. See what she did there? That was sweet. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate that. Let's continue on here. I guess it's time for the news. You ready, Sheldon?
Always.
Okay, here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal News Desk, the only news broadcast that includes a round of applause. Because this is the real news here. None of that phony stuff going on. We got some strange news up on deck here for you. First one off the bat is a ghostly one. And let me pull it into position here right on your face, Sheldon.
Awesome.
Yeah, someday I'll figure out another way to have this set up so I don't have to cover your head every time. But this is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com. Ghost with a bowler hat is said to haunt Heathrow. That's interesting. The reason why that's interesting to me, I'm sure it's an airport, London's Heathrow Airport. I just interviewed Lon Strickler of Phantoms and Monsters for the podcast, and we were talking about Chicago O'Hare, and it's he said in that interview, he said, well, there's a lot of airports are actually paranormally active a lot of times, and I thought, wow, that's interesting. But imagine you're an earthbound spirit. Where would be a cool place to have to hang out forever? Probably an airport and maybe a mall. Might be kind of fun because you could just people watch and screw with people as time goes on. But let's see what this is about. I've never heard of the haunted Heathrow Airport, so let's see what it says. There have been many sightings of a ghostly figure in and around Heathrow Airport over the years. One of the world's busiest airports, London's Heathrow, which originated all the way back in 1929, now typically sees about 200,000 passengers passing through its gates on a daily basis. Man, that is some traffic. Unsurprisingly, therefore, it has also become home to a few of its own ghost stories over the years. One of these concerns the victim of a fatal plane crash that occurred one foggy night back in 1948, a Douglas D-3 plane, which had been attempting to land despite bad weather conditions, fire killing 19 people. Aww. The plane, operated by the Sabina company, had earlier been, while flying from Brussels, warned the airport that it might have to make an emergency landing, the local paper reported at the time. Doctors, nurses, traffic girls? What the hell does that mean? Traffic girls. Okay. I don't know what that means, but it says traffic girls, GIRLS. Fire tenders and ambulances rushed to the scene with first aid and bandages, but could do little good in the raging heat. Things took a rather peculiar turn, however, when a mysterious man showed up on the scene to ask if anyone had seen his briefcase. When firefighters eventually located the victim of the crash of the wreckage, they discovered that one of the deceased looked exactly like him. Since then, the same man, who is typically seen wearing a dark suit and bowler hat, has made fleeting appearances in and around the vicinity of the airport. In one occasion, the radar office picked up an unidentified individual on one of the runways. When officers went out to investigate, there was nobody there. To this day, no explanation for the sightings of the mysterious man has ever been found. How about it's a ghost?
There's one.
There's an explanation, folks. I'm gonna wager that probably has some merit. That's pretty wild, though. He's just stuck there, huh?
Guess so.
Wow.
Interesting.
Looking for his briefcase, maybe still. Wonder what was in that briefcase. I'm just saying.
Good question.
I don't know. It's got him pretty stressed out, even all these years later. This one's kind of interesting. It's more of a paleontology, I guess is the word I'm looking for. It has to do with the oldest human footprints, North America. In North America were found. And this is from unexplained-mysteries.com. And it says archaeologists have identified what are now thought to be the oldest footprints ever found on the continent. And it looks like these are them. Wow, they must have been walking on that when that was like a mud instead of a sandstone that it is now or whatever, or limestone. Yeah. It says dating back between 21,000 and 23,000 years, the fossilized footprints were discovered in layers of soil at the White Sands National Park in New Mexico. Wow. The find is particularly significant as until now the available evidence, such as stone spears, had suggested that humans first arrived in North America between 11 and 13,000 years ago. To determine the age of the tracks, scientists from the U.S. Geological Survey conducted an analysis of tiny seeds that were embedded inside of them. The evidence is very convincing and extremely exciting, said archaeological scientist Tom Hagum from University of Vienna. I'm convinced that these footprints genuinely are of the age claimed. The discovery could serve to rewrite what we know about history of modern humans in North America, and might even push their arrival on the continent back further still. These finds indicate the presence of humans in North America for approximately 2 millennia, during the last glacial maximum south of the migratory barrier created by the ice sheets to the north, the researchers wrote in a study published in the journal Science. This timing coincided with the northern hemispheric abrupt warming event, Dangsgaard-Oshur events 2, which drew down lake levels and allowed humans and megafauna to walk on the newly exposed surfaces, creating tracks that became preserved in the geological record. That's pretty interesting.
That is.
That's a long time earlier than what they thought. Huh. That's pretty cool. Look at those prints.
See, I like articles like this where it breaks what we thought we knew.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of the same reason that I like the stories where people were skeptics and they have these incredible paranormal events and are now believers, because I don't know, there's something about the arrogance that people display, in their knowledge, and they're so rigid and unyielding, and they don't open their mind to possibilities until something like this comes along and they go, well, I guess we don't know it all. Well, no doubt you don't know it all. And to get them to admit that, it takes something really extraordinary finding like this to happen. I think it's phenomenal. I was looking at the footprints going, yeah, I guess they're pretty much the same as ours. You'd think maybe there was some sort of variation. How many toes? 1, 2, 3, 4 toes on this one, though. 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How come this one got away with 4 toes? This one looks like it's only got 3.
Well, the world was a lot harsher back then. I don't know.
I lost my toes to frost. Maybe. Lost 2 toes. You never know. But it does look very narrow on the heel and stuff. But anyway, I don't know. It's certainly possible that I'm sure they know what they're talking about. The footprints were mostly left by children and teenagers. Huh. Okay.
Wow.
Well, that's pretty cool.
They actually look bigger in the picture. Interesting.
What are you using for scale? This ruler? This is a 12-inch ruler, I imagine. Probably 12 inches, like a normal ruler, although it's got these weird shapes on it. But that looks like a kid-size print, I guess. Right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I was comparing it to the other feet with that size ruler, but yeah.
Oh, sure. It's the other feet that threw you.
Yeah. That's true. I actually didn't even notice that one right there, which is odd.
Okay, well, it's all right. We're on a discovery here, Sheldon. This is a journey of learning, so let's learn together.
Yeah, we're learning.
We're learning. Let's get on to the next one here and see what that's all about. Go back to your face, and you got this smirk on your face, like, yeah, I said that out loud.
Yeah, you don't have to go back to my face. There I am.
There you go. It's okay. I like that you're discovering this stuff with me. I think that's cool. Let's go to the next one here, and this is something about dreaming. And I've always thought that dreams are really powerful events. I think that, most normally we chalk up dreams to be these manifestations of subconscious minds, And I think there are those dreams too that are just us processing crap, and they're ridiculous and stupid, and it's hard to understand. But I think that dreams are also perhaps a very profound representation of the fact that we really are multidimensional entities. It's just that we've forgotten, or at least in this part of our incarnation, we just aren't aware of the other parts of ourselves. But I think maybe when we're dreaming, we get glimpses of those other parts of ourselves, these multidimensional parts of ourselves. And certainly when you're having a dream, it seems very fragmented, but is it possible to align yourself with those other parts and gain more of a holistic awareness of your entire experience? Maybe. I don't know. Just throwing ideas out there. It's what I do, and I know it probably drives some of you nuts, but I just like to think of possibilities, because if something exists in our world, I know there's certainly merit to the fact that we absorb a lot during the day and we have to process it, and maybe that's what happens during sleep. But some other dreams are so incredibly profound and so incredibly real, and they seem very representative of things that we're working through in both our conscious life and our unconscious life. And certainly that might also align them with just being a processing. But what if it's more than that? What if it's something really incredible? And I go back to this quite often, but dreams can be as silly as, like, when I was a kid, Frankenstein and Dracula making toast, to me meeting my recently deceased father and having a moment of incredible closure and healing, and what's going on here, So I think that these dreams could be a glimpse into a more complete version of ourselves, or at least parts of ourselves that we can't really acknowledge or realize during our waking state. So take it or leave it. But
I'm so glad you didn't talk to me about this when I was a kid. I used to be terrified of this monster made of bees, and hearing that would terrify me. Like, what if it is real?
Monster made of bees. I don't think I ever heard about that one. That reminds me of that Constantine movie, right?
Yes. Yeah. Maybe that's where it came from. It's possible.
Oh, I don't think. How old are you? I don't think I let you watch Constantine when you were a little wee man.
I think it was around 7.
Yeah, we were pretty much still in Disney at that point. We were still working through Disney. We weren't watching Constantine. So.
Okay, all right. All right.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. But
yeah,
I don't remember you ever telling me about a dream of bee people or whatever.
It's never left my mind.
Apparently, yeah. Okay, so here's what it says: reliable way to induce lucid dreams discovered. Let's see what this says. And this is, researchers have found that a common Alzheimer's drug can help induce lucid dreaming more reliably. Ever had a dream in which you actually become aware that you are dreaming and can directly influence the events you are experiencing? This is known as lucid dreaming. Yeah, those are the ones where I can fly and stuff. Those are awesome. For years, scientists have attempted to study what goes on in the brain during such experiences. However, reliably inducing lucid dreaming on demand has proven particularly challenging. To find a solution to this, researchers at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and their Lucidity Institute in Hawaii decided to investigate the role of acetylcholinesterase inhibitors in inducing lucid dreaming experiences. A total of 121 volunteers, most of them veteran lucid dreamers, were recruited to take part in a study involving the use of galantamine, a common Alzheimer's drug, and the fast-acting ACHEI or L, whatever the hell it is. In over 3 consecutive nights, the participants took increasingly large doses before spending time practicing their lucid dream induction techniques. The findings indicated that stronger doses of the drug were more effective at inducing lucid dreams. This combined protocol resulted in a total of 69 out of 121 participants, 57%, successfully having lucid dream on at least 1 out of 2 nights on an active dose of galantamine. The researchers wrote, this protocol is one of the most effective methods for inducing lucid dreams known to date and holds promise, for making lucid dreaming available to a wider population. Huh.
Ooh, I can't wait. I want it as an over-the-counter medicine.
Yeah. You take a couple like Tylenol PM and you go lucid dream. No,
oh yeah.
I here's the thing though. this is, I think, a cautionary thing, because I don't think there's anything that is created or sold pharmaceutically that doesn't have such a laundry list of problems associated with it. That is it worth a lucid dream if, you may induce, severe bronchitis or scoliosis or, your offspring may have 3 arms or something like that, I don't know. It's just the chemistry involved in some of the pharmacology, I think, is absolutely terrifying when you look at side effects, when you look at long-term usage and problems that it has on the human body. I don't know. I bet you there's got to be some natural substance that could maybe be effectively comparable without all of the chemical side effects. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I think I just need to start a garden now.
Well, I think that's probably a good idea for everybody. I think the more you can grow yourself, the less you're going to be ingesting of chemicals and toxins and stuff. But I think that's, I do think, now I'm a fan of science, I'm a fan of technology, and I'm a fan of us learning so much more as a global community and maybe bettering the human condition, making it so that some of the fears of ages gone by are not a part of our vocabulary anymore. But I think there's a recklessness with science that I really do have problems with. I think that sometimes they release things and they start, leaping headfirst into things that we're not ready for, and certainly I know that's, in the terms of like pharmacology and prescription medicines, in many cases, the people do need the aid and the help that they offer, but it is kind of scary when you hear the side effects drummed off, when you're hearing those advertisements, it's like people playing with a kitten and throwing a ball, and it's like this may induce depression, it may cause suicidal tendencies and all this stuff. It's like, wait a minute, they're playing with a kitten, come on. It's just, I don't know, it's just really disturbing that sometimes the side effects, may it cause projectile diarrhea. It's like, oh really?
Oh yeah.
I don't think I need a lucid dream that much.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
The antidepressant ones are not the funniest, but it's the funniest in a way.
Yeah.
Because it's made to make you feel better, to go out through your day easier. Mm-hmm. And yet it's some of the side effects. Sometimes I swear I hear this on those commercials is chance of increased suicidal thoughts, or a chance of increased of
Yeah, I know.
It's like, really?
Yeah. Eddie Dean Lewis says too much research based on who is funding things for nefarious reasons. Well, there's that consideration as well. That's the thing, is science can be bought, and it's bought by the funding. And for instance, let's go into the Wayback Machine into when the sugar industry decided to pad a bunch of politicians' wallets to say that sugar wasn't the problem, it was fat. Fat was the problem. And,
right.
And so, sure enough, the entire industries and ideas were grown around this idea that sugar's fine, just stay away from fat. And that really wasn't the case. It really wasn't the case. So that's just one example out of a myriad of them. And I'm not really well researched on any of this, but I've heard enough cautionary tales that it's like, well, I'm going to wait this one out and just see how this lands first, So that's
True.
just me. That's just me. I think that caution is good. But, Sheldon, did you know that there's a new UFO series coming out?
Really? Where?
Oh, well, check this out. You're going to love this. Yep. And they found what may be the perfect host for this show. And here it comes.
Is it you?
No. That would be a great host as far as I'm concerned, but no. Apparently it's Demi Lovato.
What? Wait, what?
Unexplained-mysteries.com, Demi Lovato discusses her new UFO TV series.
Oh, okay. I don't know what to say to that.
I don't know if any of us do. She may be interested in it at all, but come on, seriously? that's just a grab to get this girl a job and to try to drum up some interest from some, the next generation of Disney kids or whatever. I don't know. The American Singer will be hosting a new unscripted show all about investigating the UFO phenomena. Due to premiere on September 30th, the new Peacock series Unidentified with Demi Lovato will follow the singer, her best friend, and her sister as they go on an expedition to visit UFO hotspots, eyewitnesses, alien abductees, and UFO researchers in a quest to uncover the truth.
Okay.
I'm staring at the camera, just so you know, Sheldon.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Lovato is certainly no stranger to the subject of UFOs and extraterrestrial visitation, having previously claimed to have contacted a UFO during a recent trip to Joshua Tree with Dr. Stephen Greer. Over the past couple of months, I've dug deep into the science of consciousness and experienced not only peace and serenity like I've never known, but I've also witnessed the most incredibly profound sightings both in the sky as well as feet away from me, she wrote at the time. She's also been speaking to media outlets about the new show. I want people to have an open mind and heart and to realize these things are looking out for our best interests, she told Entertainment Weekly. And I would agree. I'm not a real big subscriber to, they've come across the stars to feast on our firstborns or whatever. I think if they're advanced, they're probably, at least socially advanced a little bit. There's nothing to fear. If they wanted to hurt us, they would have hurt us. I agree with that as well. What, if anything, she discovers over the course of the show's 4 episodes? 4 episodes. They're going to dig it all up in 4 episodes, Sheldon.
4 episodes. Good luck to them.
Remains to be seen. Unidentified with Demi Lovato is an unscripted series that follows Lovato and her skeptical best friend, Matthew, their sister Dallas, as they search for the truth about UFO phenomena, the official synopsis reads. While consulting with leading experts, Demi, Dallas, and Matthew will investigate recent eyewitness accounts, uncover secret government reports, and conduct tests at known UFO hotspots. So there you go. That's going to be on the Peacock network, which I imagine is some NBC thing. But, here's the thing. I have no bone to pick with her personally. I understood that she's an experiencer as well. And, of course, when you experience something so profound and life-altering and possibly paradigm-changing, yeah, you want to dig into it. But I think the problem is that I think they're attaching her name to it because she's a celebrity. So they're trying to drum that natural interest into the show. She may be very well, sincerely wanting to understand this stuff. And I think that's fantastic. But it almost comes across like a punchline because it's like, what are we going to have? What's the next show? I remember Dominic, whatever is Monaghan, who was in Lord of the Rings. He was one of the hobbits, and he did this. This nature show where he was trying to run around like the crocodile hunter and do that. Now, I don't doubt the guy is extraordinarily passionate about this stuff, but it just comes across as like a con job, Even though he's probably incredibly interested and very dedicated and devoted to following and doing that kind of show, it's just hard to get past the character and to see the person behind it all. And certainly attaching Demi Lovato's name to something, again, she may be absolutely, totally, completely interested in this and have an incredible passion for bringing this to the forefront, but it just comes across as like a I don't know, just what am I trying to say? Like a popularity grab because it's Demi Lovato. You know what I mean? I mean, as far as who she is, though, she doesn't need a popularity grab. So I don't know if it's for that reason. But and like you said, she might be incredibly invested into this kind of thing too. But I was always thinking about it too, sitting here. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that she's doing this because, like, she's basically all of her followers, all the people that love her, knowing that she's investigating this and that she thinks it's real. It does bring more people into the UFO scope. It does kind of spread awareness
that,
Sure.
oh yeah, all those people that talked about UFOs aren't crazy, you know, like they aren't crazy. They're not just imagining things. They aren't making up stuff, but there's something to it. So in a way, you know, the light if we're looking at the light at the end of the tunnel side of it, just the light side of it, that type of thing,
sure,
it might not be a bad thing.
No, but you know, I will tell you this. I think the fact that she's attached to it, though, she's already got a huge hill to climb right off the bat, because automatically people are going to dismiss it just because her name's attached to it, because that's not who she's known to be. She's an entertainer. She's a Disney kid. She's all these things, and has had some troubled past and stuff. So, you know, automatically it's going to be actually the cards are actually stacked against her, because she's going to have to fight harder than anybody to establish any kind of credibility. You know, just because she was in the desert with Stephen Greer does not necessarily make anybody, a top candidate to have their own show. But, you know, maybe she will. I don't know. And I'm not trying to be Mr. Negative about it, but it does seem like, it's just another Hollywood move. Let's attach some big name to something, because right now people are interested in UFOs. Let's see, how about Demi Lovato? Let's put her on this and have her go for 4 episodes and do this. You know,
yeah.
It's just they're going to have to establish credibility. You know, the old, it's almost like Menudo. You know, that Mexican musical group that's had like 500 different members, because all they do is just keep cycling out kids in and out until they get to a certain age, and they kick them out and bring in a new kid. And because it's just a money grab. But I don't know. It's I don't know. I don't want to be too critical, because I think you're right. The more acknowledgement these subjects get, the better. But I think that it is a curious move to have her name attached to it right off the bat. They should have brought her in on some other shows first to give her a little bit of credibility in the field, and then launched her out on her own deal. You know what I mean?
True. I do see your point, like as far as how some people will interpret it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to get dismissed outright just because, people are going to be like, oh, Demi Lovato, really? Okay. She going to sing too?
Yeah.
So, just some thoughts. I don't know. Again, not trying to be overly negative here, but it's not what you'd expect to see. All right, here's the next news article, and this is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com. Real-life Angry Birds attack delivery drones.
Oh, nice.
Real-life Angry Birds. Ravens seem to have developed a severe dislike of delivery drones in the skies over Canberra, Australia. The idea of delivering parcels to recipients via autonomous aerial drones seems to have been gaining more and more traction in recent years, opening the door to a future in which items we order online could be deposited in our gardens mere hours after clicking confirm purchase on the website. In Canberra, however, an increase in delivery drone use has met with some unexpected opposition in the form of ravens, which has started attacking the flying machines on site. Yeah, they're trained. Those are trained ravens. There's a crew of bandits down on the ground waiting.
hey, not a bad idea.
One customer, Ben Roberts, has become acutely aware of the problem after going outside to await the delivery of his morning coffee via drone every day. Wow. It's a matter of time before they bring one down, he said. The bird attacks have become so common in the area that the drone company has been forced to pause flights until a solution to the problem can be found. It is assumed that the ravens must be perceiving the drones as some sort of territorial threat. According to Wayne Condon, chief pilot and instructor of the UAV training in Australia, it is best to avoid flying drones near bird nesting sites and to fly them early in the morning to avoid the attacks. He also suggests backing the drones away from the birds if an attack does occur. However, given that the drones are autonomous, this certainly is not an ideal solution. We have identified some ravens demonstrating territorial behavior in a small part of our delivery area in the suburb of Harrison, and we've asked the ornithological experts to investigate this further to ensure we continue to have minimal impact on bird life, said a drone company spokesperson. Service will be temporarily paused for a small number of our customers in Harrison during this time. Let's take a look at the video, shall we?
Please do.
There's the drone. can hear the ravens. He's moving in, getting closer.
Oh, they're pissed.
Get away! Oh, there's your package. That's hilarious. That bird's totally after it. Wow, folks. There you go.
That's great.
That's awesome. I mean, the bird's like, yeah, no. Yeah, here's your eggs. Hope you don't mind them scrambled.
That's so funny. That is so funny.
That is. I wouldn't have expected that. That's pretty cool. We got a couple more news stories going on tonight. The news is taking a little longer tonight. I don't know. I guess we got more to say. Is that what it is?
That's because of me. I apologize.
No, don't apologize. This is all about discussion. The next one on our newscast is cavers venture deep into Yemen's well of hell. I don't know if we're going to watch this video, but how long is it? I don't know. It says a caving team has become the first ever to descend into the depths of Yemen's terrifying sinkhole. Good God. I wonder if that's an actual picture. How big is that? Jeez. Like something out of a dark fantasy movie, the Well of Barut, otherwise known as the Well of Hell, descends 112 meters beneath the desert of Al-Mara province in eastern Yemen. Its unusually circular entrance measures 30 meters in diameter, gives it the appearance of a bottomless pit, with few locals willing to venture too close to the edge for fear of falling in. There are some who even believe that it is a gateway to the underworld itself. Now, though, for the first time, cavers from the Omani Caves Exploration Team, or OSET, have managed to successfully reach the bottom of the well, revealing what actually does lie inside. Far from finding the entrance to hell, however, the intrepid explorers reported finding waterfalls, stalagmites, cave pearls, snakes, and a number of dead animals that had fallen inside. Passion drove us to do this, said geologist and team member Mohammed El-Kindi, and we felt that this is something that will reveal a new wonder and part of Yemeni history. Whether the team's findings will dispel local myths surrounding the well, however, remains to be seen. I don't know, we can look at this quick. Oh, there they are.
Sure.
Let's kill the sound, though, so I don't get a copyright strike. There they go. They're all lining up. Let's just move ahead here. They're going to stretch this out for the full 3 minutes, aren't they? There they are. They're descending. Going down.
It's not some small hole either. That's a decently sized hole.
30 meters is that. What is that, like 300 feet? Or no, it's 90 feet. 90 feet, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, math was never a big thing for me. Instead of demons, they found snakes. Look at that. There's the dripping water. Oh, I suppose those are cave pearls then, right?
Oh, that must be. Yeah.
Yeah, these must be cave pearls. Okay. Interesting. So they're just mineral balls.
Seems like it.
Oh, there's some stalagmites. Cool. Yeah, I'm not seeing any minions of the underworld, so that's good. It is huge, though. Look at that hole.
Yeah.
Wonder how that started. It was just like a little hole, and it just became this, or what? Millions and millions of years old, and said that no one ever reached the bottom until now.
Wow.
Many locals felt uneasy about visiting the spot, even talking about it fearing misfortune. There is something about holes in the earth, though, that it does raise your dander a little bit. It's like, yeah.
It's pretty well circled too. It's not like it's,
Yeah, it really is.
It's a circle. It really is.
Yep, that was from the South China Morning Post. Thanks for the video, guys. There you have that. And there's one more. And this one's kind of a good one to end on, because that'll lead us right into the Germer files, where we're going next. And this is unexplained-mysteries.com. Jane Goodall won't rule out existence of Bigfoot. And this is dated. I know that she said this years ago, but apparently this is still getting tossed around, or she said it again. Let's see what it says. From Wednesday, 29th of September, today, 2021. Being the world's foremost expert on chimpanzees, Goodall certainly knows a thing or two about primates. The 87-year-old who first studied chimps at Gombe Stream National Park in Tanzania all the way back in 1960 has spent decades of her life attempting to learn more about them. When it comes to Bigfoot, therefore, there are few people as qualified to comment on the possibility that there is a mysterious undiscovered species of primate roaming the forests of North America. It is certainly interesting to note, then, that she has publicly stated on multiple occasions that she does not rule out the possible existence of such a creature. During a recent interview with GQ magazine, she also recalled an experience of her own that seemed to further reinforce the possibility in her mind. It happened during a trip to Ecuador and occurred following a flight to a small village in an area of rainforest so vast that it took hours of solid flying over nothing but trees to reach the settlement. Once there, she recalled speaking to a town crier, someone who travels from one village to another with news that there were no roads, telephones, or any other way to communicate over distances. Through an interpreter, she requested that he ask the village's hunters if they've ever seen a monkey without a tail during their travels in the deep forest. Incredibly, 3 hunters later got back to her to claim that they had indeed seen such a thing. They walk upright, they're about 6 foot tall, they told her. What makes it so interesting, Goodall argues, is that these men had no idea about the modern Bigfoot phenomena. They were just simply recalling something they'd experienced firsthand. As far as what it was they actually did see, however, we can only speculate. That's really interesting. Wow. Huh. Well, there you have it.
6 feet
folks.
tall. Isn't that kind of small?
Well, this
like
is
an adolescent.
Well, it could be, or it could just be not all of them reach 10 feet. There are some 6, 7, 8 feet tall. Is good sized in some areas. Basically, there's a I forget the rule. There's a biological rule that says the closer you move towards the equator, the smaller species become. The further away from the equator you move, the larger the species becomes. And this is documented in several different species that have wide ranges of habitat, that the ones that are located the furthest away from the equator are actually much bigger and more robust than the ones that live in the equatorial regions.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it though. I forget the name of that biological theory or idea. But if anybody out there knows, please let us know if you know what that's called. I don't remember it though. But there you go. All right. Okay. So that, ladies and gentlemen, will conclude tonight's broadcast of the Paranormal Portal news, rather, sorry. Boom. All right, there we go. All right, so I don't see anybody commenting on the name of that biological theory or rule or whatever. I don't remember. But it's cool. Hello, everyone. Buffering, sharing, guys, buffering. Well, hello to you. Thanks for coming in. Lots of love. Let's see who is here. First of all, let's go to the participants. If you're chatting, I will give you a shout out now. If you're not chatting, start chatting so I can give you a shout out now. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm a little burpy. Daryl Zerline's here. David Hedelsheimer's here. Digger Dog's here. Elaine Clifford. Herman Vera. Can Squatch. Les Hints. Paradox Fossils is here. Rachel Gets It Right is here. Rick, a.k.a. Purple Hobbit, is here. Rosemary Andrews, Ruger Ridge, Sandra Piper, Sharon Guy, and Titan. Oh, Ghost Magnet just popped in. I saw that one come. Did I miss anyone else? I think that's it. Okay, so if you haven't said hello, I know Portal Mom's here somewhere. Gift Gig Gilberto is here. How you doing, Gift Gig Gilberto? That's a new name. Good to see you. Anybody else pop up? Let's see.
Big Chungus? It's literally his name.
Big Chungus.
It's literally someone's name.
I love it, Big Chungus. That's great.
I don't know who you are, but I appreciate you, Big Chungus.
Alicia Hughes is here. That's good to see you. Cosmic Fluor came in. Good to see you. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Those of you who are here. Just going down the list. Anybody else? Sharon Guy. I think that's it. think that's everybody. Rosemary Andrews, how you doing? Good to see you.
Hello.
Thank you all for coming in. If I missed you, I am sorry. But it's great to see all of you. Thank you so much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. What time, do you ask? Well, it's time for the Germer Files.
Well, I mean, like you said, I grew up hunting and fishing. I'm a third generation tracker. My father and grandfather were both great woodsmen. And as a child, I'd read the books about Bigfoot, and I just threw it down, called it hogwash, because I'd been in the woods so much. And my father told me it was a wives' tale that was made up. But, you know, I got out of school and started working and was busy and got to missing the woods like I, grew up doing, hunting and fishing. And so I still hunt and fish, but I worked so much. And then I joined a primitive survival group, primitive living skills group, to expand my outdoor experiences, to learn more, to be able to do more challenging exercise. And I grew up hunting the old ways. We didn't have corn piles. We tracked and killed what we tracked. But then, and I wanted to get back into that, but I wanted to do it better. And so upping my game and my hunting skills changed how I hunted even more so. And I started hunting in the further way back places, fringe areas. I made sure I would get at least half a mile further than anybody else would go. And that's where I run into something that was not supposed to be there. It was not supposed to exist. Okay, it changed. It changed everything. It honestly ruined my outdoors experience, because I used to be able to go out and just spend weeks in the woods hunting, doing what I want to do, and now I know what's out there. Well, I had to track this area out, and it was a little over a mile in, and there was, two big confluences of game trails coming in, and it was a little valley, and there was ridges on both sides, and I had packed in a climbing stand, and there was a stump hole on the foot of this hill that I dug out, and I had stashed my climbing stand in there and set myself up for deer season. And I'd hunted it once before in the morning with no issue. I'd been working a lot of overtime, and I finally got a Saturday off to myself. And so I woke up that morning late. I was running late. I was mad at myself. So I said, well, I'll just do a midday hunt. So I cruised in, grabbed some breakfast, hit the woods. I got to the woods about 10 o'clock. And I parked, hiked all the way back in there, and grabbed my climbing stand, threw it on the tree. And so I'm up in the climbing stand, and I hunted through midday hours, 11 to 1, and past that and beyond. And and the woods were dead. It was a beautiful sunshine day, nice temperatures. It wasn't cold, it wasn't hot. It was just a beautiful day, but the woods were completely dead. Okay, there wasn't a squirrel, there wasn't deer, there wasn't bird, there was absolutely no sound in those woods. And I just sat in my stand enjoying the peace and serenity of the woods, And this one mosquito came and got under the brim of my hat and kind of floated down and got on my chin. And I reached up to flip it off of my chin, and the brush out in front of me explodes on this ridge top. It just explodes. It's just, and it takes, and something inside this brush takes off, and it's running, and I hear whack, 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 as it's running from my right to left, going up the draw. These three whack, whack, whack. And so I'm rolling through my index. So I'm pretty good in the woods, a lot of experience. I said, I bet that's a buck. And this rack is hitting the brush as it goes through the brush going, not, So I'm thinking I got busted by a deer. That was that was 4 o'clock afternoon. I sat there for about another hour. And I said, well, I might as well hunt the dark. And so I reached in my pocket, make sure my flashlight's there, and it's not. I forgot my flashlight. And so I made a decision. I'm not going to fight my way out of here in the dark. So I get down, I stash my stand, I climb the stand, cover it back up, and I start picking my way up to this draw, ridges on both sides of me. And I'm thinking about what I want for dinner. Because I know I'm going to treat myself well today. I've been working a lot. Wife's gone, kids gone. Got a day to myself. I'm going to stop at a restaurant. And there's a restaurant that opened up, had coconut shrimp, or they had steak. And I love coconut shrimp because I'd had it one time. And I'm thinking in my head what I'm going to have for dinner as I'm picking my way up to the straw. And it's a quarter mile from where I stashed my stand to where I have to make my way up. I have to turn right to get out, to go uphill and get out of the straw. And right when I get to my turn, bam, something hits me. Something's wrong. Something's very wrong. I feel the heat. I feel heat on the backside of my left shoulder, on my shoulder blade. I feel a heating sensation. It's hot. And I'm like, oh, man, I hope nothing's going wrong with me out here. And I stand there and I feel it for a second. And I thought, well, okay. So I started turning. And I turned, a 360 degree. And in the back of my mind, there's the little calm voice that's always in the back of your mind. It's screaming, get out of here. And I'm like, relax. We're cool. We're confident. We're skilled. We're armed. So I do this 360 turn, and the heat is directional. It actually changes on my body to where I can tell what direction it's coming from. And it's coming off the side of a hill that was behind me and to my left. And I know about where it's coming from, and I'm looking up this hill, and there's just a bunch of leaves. You can't see anything, but just the side of a hill with leaves. And it's not very far, 50, 60 yards. And I do a complete 360, and you can tell, the directional change, and it just kind of stopped. I said, well, that's weird, So I said, well, I'll go ahead and I'll make my right, and I start going up this hill. And it's 80 yards to the crest of the hill and another 40 yards to this dim road that I've got to hit, and it's almost a mile out. So I turn right, I step out of the sand on the pine straw. I'm making my way up. And from that, where I figured the whatever stair was coming from, sensation, I hear something run down that hill, and it passes me. It passes to my left and comes back in and around and to my left as I make my way up this hill. And as it comes in, it falls in the trail. It's 15 yards inside the brush line, 10 to 15 yards behind me. And it's in trail behind me on my left side as I'm making my way up this hill. And I think, that's weird. I'm still not alarmed. I'm confident, not worried. So I'm making my way up this hill, and it's still doing this. And I think, this is crazy. I take a few steps, and it would jump. It would run and jump from a base to a tree to another base tree hiding. Okay, and there was brush in there, and it would hide in the brush, be at the base of a tree, hide in the brush, base of a tree. I couldn't catch it. It was fast. So I said, I'm gonna get smart. I took a half step and looked, because it would time me. I'd take a couple steps and then jump, take a couple steps. Finally, I took half a step and I looked, and I'm standing on one leg. And what I saw wasn't supposed to exist. Okay? It had two legs, my size, covered in a orangish red hair. It's in mid-flight. It's jumping from behind one tree. It's in mid-flight. Its right foot is extended out, very muscular, thin, my height. It's got my nose. And I watch it sail through the air. I can still see the hair on the foot moving in the breeze as it sailed through the air. It lands. It doesn't make much noise. It lands, and it has a bounce to it. And when it bounces, the sun was behind her as she went behind the next tree. The sun backlit her, and I could see the colors of the hair and the length of the hair, and the blonde split ends are on the end of her hair that are split, float up in the air and play in the sunlight as she went behind the next tree. And I was so shocked and so taken back. My feet had a mind of their own. One tried to stay, and one tried to freeze, and the other tried to take off running by themselves. I wasn't even thinking, and I almost fell. I stumbled and was falling uphill. And I said, okay. I took off running into a jog, and I caught myself into a jog up this hill so I didn't hit the ground. And now I'm jogging up this hill after seeing what I just saw that was not supposed to exist. It's not supposed to be there. Okay. And I'm jogging up this hill, and the only thing I could assign it to was the books that I'd read in a library as a child that had Bigfoot as a title. And this was not my wheelhouse. I was never the romantic of saying, boy, I hope one of these things exists. In fact, it was the opposite. It was the exact opposite emotion. And I'm shocked. I'm thinking this as I'm jogging uphill. What is this? What does it want? How do I get away from it? What kind of strategy can I use to get away from this? And I'm jogging uphill, and I'm plotting out in my mind, she's 15 yards to my left, 10 to 15 yards behind me. And I know what a stalk is. I'm being stalked. As I'm jogging up this hill, I realize we're going to intersect in this dim road. She's in perfect place. If we keep going like we're going, and I hang my left, that's where we're going to intersect at. And then I freaked out. That's when my anxiety went higher. Okay, she has a tactic. She has a strategy. She's thinking about this. Okay, she's just not some animal in trail. She has an intelligence to her in her stalk and how she's stalking me. Okay, now the thing is, and I'm working this out in my mind, what advantage can I get to get away? Okay, she assumes I'm going to turn to the left because that's the way out that humans go. But she doesn't know. So she's going to pause in her gait to confirm the direction I'm going to go. She'll have to do that before she commits to an interception. So I'm jogging and I'm listening. I'm jogging and I'm listening. And she's keeping her pace and I'm keeping my pace. And it's, my adrenaline is building up to the point where I don't even notice tired, And I finally make the crest of this hill, and I got 40 yards to go to the dim road. And we clear it. I get to, 20 yards to it, 10 yards to it, 15 yards to 5 yards to it. She pauses. I leap out into the road and I take off. I'm like a shot. I'm gone. I'm down this road. I cover the 15 yards to the intercept point. I go 50 yards past that, and she rushes out to the edge of the road. And I look back towards her over my left shoulder, looking at her. And she's at the edge of the road looking at me, broad daylight. And she scuffs her feet on the ground like a kid that didn't get her way. She kicks up pine straw and dust, and I see it in the air as she scuffed it up with her feet and looking dead at me. Just serious. And then now I'm freaked. Okay. I had my weapon in both hands. I swapped to my right arm. I'm gone. I'm running. and I make, I'm 15 yards from her, I make 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and then I hear, and this is the only way I've been able to describe it. Her legs started up. Her legs start, and she catches me in under 7-8 seconds. She's right next to me running, and I'm moving, and she catches me just quick. And now she's beside me. I'm on the right-hand side of this damn road running, and she's in the brush on the left-hand side of the road, 12 feet from me running, right next to me. Okay, and she's knocking this green spindly brush is whipping her, and she starts knocking out of the way with her hands as she's running. She's knocking out of the way, and she's just running beside me. And I say, oh my God, I can't outrun her. I thought maybe I could outrun. No, I cannot outrun her. She's so fast, and her feet aren't working like mine. Okay, I am smoothly running, but I'm covering ground. I'm fast. Her legs are hitting the ground twice as fast as mine, and it's choppy. And they just, her hips and legs don't work like mine. She is fast. And so we do this down this road, and the only saving grace is she's not trying to come into my lane. I had a plan out because there's not a whole lot of rational thought process going on right now. The only plan I had was, okay, I'm going to run. I'm going to try not to fall. If she steps into the road with me, I'm just going to spin and fire. That's my plan. That's what we're going to do. Run down this road. That was the best plan I could come up with. I didn't want to shoot. I didn't want to shoot anything that looked like it. Killing something is a serious thing for me. It always has been. If I take a life, that's a huge thing. I don't care if it's squirrel, deer, bird. I don't care what it is. I value life. If I take it, it's because I needed it. I don't want to take this as life. So I'm running, and she's beside me, and we keep this up all the way to there's a dog leg in the road. I'm paying so much attention to what I'm doing, and I'm just trying to keep going down this road as fast as possible. And I'm moving. I finally hit this dog leg, and I recognize where I am. 115 yards to my truck off this dog leg. All right, I know where I am. And when I pass that dog leg, she starts veering off a little bit, getting a little more distant from me. And I'm like, oh, thank God. She's getting off of me. She's going away. And what it was, I looked over, and she's following the brush line. The brush line was getting away from me. The woods were clearing out. The brush was being pushed back further, 50 yards in a circle around this area as you're getting closer to the trailhead. And she's following that brush around. And so we make it 50 yards of trailhead, and that brush line she's in circles around, goes all the way to the trailhead. And I never really noticed that was a continuous row of brush that you have to go through right there at the trailhead. But she and I must have saw it at the same time, because she took off. I mean, she went from running to moving. Okay, she was moving. And I caught it. It terrified me so bad that I caught another gear I didn't know I had. I wasn't just moving. I was running and was low to the ground like a deer moving. That's how fast I was going. Running. And I had a straight shot, and I'm trying to beat her there. And she's coming around this brush line, and she's moving. And there's a hill. Once you get to the brush line at that trailhead, it drops down a steep hill. There's a bar ditch, and there's a gravel road. My truck's parked there. So I'm running, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, do I slow down to get down this hill? Because if I fall, I'm going to be in trouble. And I'm like, no, just run and jump off this hill. Because if you slow down, you're not going to make it. At least if you fall, you'll be out in the open, and I'll just roll over and start shooting. So I run, I make it to the brush line, and there's about a 3-foot gap there, and it's about, 4 foot of brush. And I look, and there she is. She's 10 yards from me on my left side, facing right at me, and I pass in front of her. Okay? And when I look at her, I see her face. I see her face. I see her nose like mine. I see her. But what really caught me is that she was facing directly west into the sun at this time, and the sun was refracting in her eyes so greatly that they glowed, and that caught me off guard. And I saw that second. That was like 1 second. And bam! I'm through the brush. I'm flying through the air as I leapt, trying to hit the roadway. I didn't hit the roadway. I hit the bar ditch, twisted my ankle, but I'm still on my feet. I ripped my keys out of my pocket, and I'm running around in front of my truck, and I'm looking at her back at her, and she's froze. She's froze still. She hasn't moved a muscle, standing right there where she was at when I looked at her. And I run around my truck. I noticed my ankle hurt, but I didn't care. I just wanted to get out of there. I was terrified. As far as I know, I was running for my life. And I get my truck open, I sling my rifle in it. I don't even hit first gear. I got to have 250 standard. And I throw in second. I dump the clutch. I'm lurching and swinging gravel. And it seemed like it took forever to get going. But I get going, I get down that next curve and the next curve, and I started laughing at myself. There's no way that happened. There's no way in the world that could have happened. And I'm thinking, what could have happened? What would it cost me to think that actually happened? And I had a soft drink with me. And I pulled the soft drink out of my pocket and I threw it in the floorboard. I said, someone spiked my soft drink at the bottling company. I must have, that must be the explanation it was for that to happen, because those things don't exist; they're not real. And that was a lot to process. I had nightmares for 2 years when I slept. I didn't really sleep for 2 years, but when I did, I was on that road running for my life every time with a nightmare. And I did armchair research. Looked into this Bigfoot thing that people say exists, and I come to the conclusion. Now, this is how I rationalized it. It doesn't matter if it's real or not. It only happens to someone one time. It never happens to them again. I can repress this, say it was a hallucination or what. It doesn't matter. It's not going to happen again because I have to go out. I teach primitive survival, preliminary skills. I teach knife-only survival. I got guys that rely on me. I have to take out, and I've got to have my wits about me. But it was never the same in the woods. It was never the same. I would go out, and you're out for a week, 3 days to a week, and I could never relax. I'm always looking over my shoulder. It changed everything and really wrecked a lot. And after a while, I calmed down, relaxed. But then 6 years later, I had a second encounter. She had the obvious female attributes of the chest, the mammary glands, about a C cup. I'm 6'2", 250. She's my size. 6 foot, 6'2"-ish. Dark, red, orange hair. Flat stomach, muscled legs. As a physical specimen, she was a beautiful being. Okay, hair all over, but it's not like a shaggy hair. The hair had a grain to it, just like your hair has a grain to it. Your pet's hair has a grain. Her hair had a grain to it as well. She wasn't just some shaggy looking thing. She's quite a beautiful being. It's taken me a long time to appreciate that, because at the time, that was the last thing I'd ever want to exist.
Wow. Is that not just incredible?
That's amazing.
I've never heard that one before. That's one of those that somehow snuck through the floorboards on me, and I never heard it before. But I was just riveted because we hear stories of their speed. of their ability to move. And you know, it's hard to conceptualize that. What does that look like? What does that mean? And when he's describing running 30, 40 yards ahead and thinking, okay, and then to hear that the feet just boom, 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 and to hear that she was digging in, and she flew all the way up to him in no time at all. And you know, this thing was toying with him the whole way, that at any time it could have run him down. It just chose not to, for whatever reason. And I don't know what reason. Maybe it was a juvenile. That was suggested in the comments, I think, by Titan suggested. And by the way, thank you, Titan. That was wonderful. Appreciate the donation. Tons, brother. That means the world. But I just think it was playing with him. You know, it was, he was in the race of his life, but I don't think it was truly aggressively attacking him. It was just, he was there. And maybe this is, if it is indeed a younger one, maybe this is the first person that's really seen up close. And so, you know, it got a chance to, you know, try out its wheels for the first time, you know, against a person. And I don't know, but that has to be such a sinking feeling to be so far ahead, and then you hear it, you know, and the way he was describing its feet hitting the ground twice as often as his, and that's just to match his speed, you know, that was just to match his speed to catch up. I don't think it was, you know, this thing was probably traveling at top speed. We've heard reports of up to 60 miles per hour. Coming from some Yowies, and also from Jack Carey. When I talked to him and interviewed him, he's the guest on this week's podcast, and what a great guy, what a very interesting person to talk to. But he was talking about, you know, what does that mean? 60 miles an hour. I don't know, because that's cheetah speed. That's cheetah speed, you know. That's how fast cheetah are to run down some of the fastest prey in the world. And I don't know.
I can't imagine hearing that. Like, you're running as fast as you can. You're like, oh, I'm catching some ground, and then just hearing that. It's like, oh, that feeling. I can't imagine that. It's like seeing that it was running beside him too.
Yeah.
I can imagine that it's like that. It's just a point where you lose hope, where it's like, oh, there's nothing I can do. Yeah. Now that's it. You know.
Except that he did say that when he hit that clearing and it was still running around the brush, he found another gear he didn't know he had, and he was running almost laid out like a deer. And it's like, you know, you can envision that. Maybe we do have a lot more speed maybe than we know. It's just we don't know. We're not pushed to those edges, you know, except in very, unless we're very terrified. People talk about, I ran like I never ran before when I was terrified. Well, yeah, that's adrenaline for sure. That'll push you beyond your limits in a hurry. Rachel says it's some attribute of personality for the Sasquatch to know she had way more power than the human had. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's got to be.
Almost like toying with him in that way, like, oh, you want to go fast? Okay, I can go fast, you know.
And even just watching him run away, you know, just knowing, all right, you can go ahead. I'm going to catch up, though. You know, it's just, you can almost hear the psychology. But, you know, in his voice, even his voice, one thing, again, is the passion and the emotion coming through the stories of these interviews. I mean, it's just, these interviews are second to none. I mean, they're just so powerful. Really, really cool. Really powerful stuff.
It's like you were saying, he knows the right questions to ask to get these bits of information out that are crucial for a listener to hear.
Well, yeah, to tell the story, to further tell their own story. Yeah, and, you know, because having interviewed many, many people myself, I know that, you know, people, when they get on a show, they're nervous. You know, they're absolutely nervous to talk, and it takes a while to get people to relax. But even then, those nerves are a part of the interview, so it's up to the interviewer to kind of color in the scenes and ask the questions that do that. And Wes is amazing at that. But really incredible story. That was really powerful. And we got one more of those tonight.
There was one other thing that caught my ear too, and I don't know if I misunderstood or I missed a part at this moment. But when the guy was saying that he felt a directional heat.
Yeah. That was curious too. I don't know what to make of that either, because I don't think it wasn't so close that he could feel the body heat. It was just, there was some reaction to him feeling the gaze, like he was feeling it as a heat. And so that is interesting. Maybe they don't see us the same way we see them, you know? Maybe they see differently. Maybe there's some function of their eyes that isn't quite as, you know, we see light that gets bounced off of things, you know, I mean, that's what we perceive. Maybe they see more. Maybe there's more to the spectrum that they see. I've seen people speculate that, you know, maybe to them we look like these glowing these glowing humanoid forms. You know, maybe that's what we look like. And I don't know, maybe. It's hard to know what, you know, I often wonder, what does a dog see? I mean, we hear stories that they don't see in color. They don't, you know, they don't see this, they don't see that. But how do we know? I don't know. Anybody's looking through dog eyes, but it's hard to know what they see too. But if they did see us as light, you can understand why you could never hide. Because
true, actually, yeah,
we're gonna be like
good
candles
point.
in a dark room. It's like, oh, he's over there. Yeah, and our eyes were hidden, but no, probably not. Anyway, who knows? Maybe they got some kind of thermal based vision. It's hard to tell, but you know, obviously they see perfectly well at night when there's not much ambient light at all. So
yeah,
it's anybody's guess, but I didn't realize. Wow, we're already at 8:23. That's
oh wow, this night's going just blazing through.
It is. You know, we got one more of these stories to go through, and we can certainly do that. But I was going to go through some other stuff too, but I don't think we're going to have time. I think there's just time for maybe another Germer file, and then we'll discuss that. What do you guys think? Does that sound good?
I like the sound of that.
Well, I'm glad. And
I love these Germer files. He does such a good job, you know. It's easy to consume and listen to.
And the thing to remember, folks, is that these are segments of long interviews he's done with these people. So the stories are still much more than that. Like when he got to the part where he's like, yeah, I only get one, you only get one, and that's what happens. But then I had a second encounter. I was like, ooh, and then it was over. It's like, oh no, I got to go back and listen to that one. So I got to figure out which episode that is and catch it. But really an incredible experience. Wow. And, you know, honestly, I don't know what it's like to come face to face with these things. Again, the only experience that I truly believe is a Sasquatch experience was when I was about 14 and got growled, had something really huge come behind me and my friend and growl. And it growled in such a way as it rumbled my body. Now, at that time, I was as terrified as I think it's possible to be, because in that moment, whatever was making that noise was about to kill me in my mind. That's where I was. And the one piece that I was not going to do was I was not going to see what that looked like. You know, it's just like, it just stood there frozen by choice, not because I was frozen, like, you know, in any kind of infrasound way. It was just frozen. I just didn't dare move. Whatever made that noise was so pissed. It was so big, and it was right behind me. And the only solace I was going to have is I didn't have to see it kill me. You know,
how far from you do you think it was?
I would say it was 8 or 10 feet maximum away from me. I don't
That's
know
not
how
far at all.
No, I know, especially when it's bigger. You know, the thing is we were coming down the ravine, and we stopped at the edge of this dry run waterfall. And it was about an 8-foot drop and some boulders and stuff down the rest of the wash. And I didn't see anything coming into there. I don't know where it came from. Where did it come from? But just suddenly it was there. And maybe it was further away, but it was such a powerful rumbling and growl. It sounded like it was right behind me. I mean, it sounded like it was just right there. And I didn't know what to do. I mean, it's, you know, I was a kid. I had no basis for this experience at all. There's nothing to prepare you for this. It's just like, I grew up in an area where the biggest thing we had was white-tailed deer, raccoons, fox, maybe a coyote, but there's no bears. There's no big wolves or big animals. They were just, you know, the smaller variety. But suddenly there was something huge and ferociously growling at me like it wanted to kill me. And I was like, oh no. And the only part I'm really grateful is that I wasn't alone. You know, if I was alone, I don't know, you know, how that would have ended up, but I just said to my friend, what the hell is that? And he goes, I don't know, we got to get out of here. And so you do what, the only option left because whatever was making that noise, there's no way I'm gonna, fend it off. It was, I was, if I confronted it, I was dead. So we did the only thing we could do, and that was to run, and we did, and it didn't pursue, but we kept running all the way down this bluff for, I don't know, good hundreds of yards, maybe even a mile. It was just kept going and going, and just at a frantic pace, because whatever made that noise, I didn't want anywhere near me. And when we got down to where finally started to see houses and stuff again, it was like, oh, thank God, and turning and looking and knowing nothing was following. Maybe we just got too close. Maybe we didn't know, obviously we didn't know, but I know what that experience is like, to have that closeness. I can't imagine if I had turned around and it was standing there. I think that you really would poop yourself. You would just, your whole body would probably just surrender. It's like, whoa, any muscle control would be gone, and I'd be standing in a puddle of my own urine, looking just helpless. But whatever it was crazy. But it was a one-off event. I didn't have anything else happen. I'd heard other things through the years that I finally attributed, like hearing trees go down up in the distance, on a real calm night. Just it's like, wow, what happened? And so you think, is it just deadfall, that was the moment it fell? And maybe that is the case sometimes, but was it every time that I heard? Because some of those trees sounded like they were solid, like they were cracking, like boom, up on the hills, and it was weird. But then once I had the context to tie that all together into, oh, I think they're up there. I think that's Sasquatch. I think it's Bigfoot. And all of a sudden going up and finding signs of broken trees that are, like saplings that were like this round, that were about 4 feet above the ground, busted over, just snapped. And these saplings are very pliable. I mean, you could tie your truck to it and probably make it bow and bend, but something broke it, and there was no deadfall on it or anything. It was just in the middle of the forest, this one broken, 6-inch diameter sapling. And then to find the structure up there too, it was very, very strange. But
do you think that's meant to be a warning sign?
I think so. I think that they don't want people around, they just want people away. And so maybe that's how they let you know. And it was certainly intimidating. The growling was absolutely, I was sold. I don't think I climbed that bluff for at least 2 years after that. I don't think I went up anywhere near there for at least 2 years, because something was up there that I didn't know. And it wasn't for many years later that I finally put the Sasquatch phenomena as a possibility. I just knew there was something up there that made a really deep growl and sounded like it terrified me. So I didn't want to go back up there to find out what it was. But, again, decades later, it was when I was in my 30s, I started learning about Sasquatch. It's like, oh my God. And then went up and looking for the signs. It was the day we went up to do those photos. You remember that day when we found
I do.
it? And it was just something about that area. I was kept being drawn to it. Like, what's up there? There's something up there. I got to go see it. I got to go see what's up there. And we had taken all those photos. And then you and I walked up there. And I don't know. Do you remember how you were feeling that day? Was it anything? Because
I could feel something.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Well, I
don't remember the emotion I had or like what it was. I just remember thinking like, wow, there's something about this area. I just remember that.
Well, what's interesting is I had taken Oliver up there. Because we ended up talking about it, and he's like, well, I said, do you want to see it? And he's like, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't think he was really excited to see it, but then again, it was something I wanted to show him. So I took him up in the hill. And we went hiking around, and I talked to him about walking in the forest and stuff like that, because I'd grown up in that hill. And then it was funny because he's like, Dad, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable here at all. And I'm like, well, what are you feeling? He's like, I keep feeling like we're being watched. I keep feeling like something's watching us. And he kept saying that. But once we went over to where that structure was, then he's like, okay, I don't feel that feeling anymore. I don't feel it anymore. And I was like, oh, well, that's good. Now, the interesting thing is I didn't pick up on that at all. I didn't pick up on that feeling of being watched. Maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe because I'd been up there for so long, through so many years, I was kind of desensitized to that. But I don't know. Just anyway, I don't know what I'm going into all of this for, but it's just an experience, I guess. Hearing this guy's experience really brings you back. You try to find parallels in your own life, and I certainly can't imagine the horror that this man was experiencing, but all I can reference it against is that horror of being in that situation that I just explained to you guys. And whatever it was, I still can't say for sure it was a Bigfoot. I can't, but I think it was. I think it was. But anyway, I think we'll get to the second Germer file tonight, folks, and let's check it out. I'm just looking at the chat. Anything did we miss? Nope. Everything's calm and peaceful. All right, let's go to the next one tonight, folks. This is the second one. I'll do it without doing the Germer Files intro since we're going back to back Germer Files.
Going straight in.
Straight in, folks. Hang on. We're going in.
Okay. We're big hunters. We had gained access to a new lease about 4 or 5 years ago. The first year went by, pretty normal. Nothing happened. And then, in year 2, right at the very beginning of the season always starts the last weekend in September. I was in my stand second day, and it started out with, it sounded like somebody was talking. And it was like far off. You just couldn't make it out. But it was definitely like something back and forth. And, I kind of brushed it off. I didn't think about it. There's not a lot of people that live around down there, but there's a few, and there's some other hunters on neighboring properties. So I just kind of brushed it off and figured it out, or, figured it was nothing. So a few days later, my brother and I, we went hunting again, and I heard the same thing. And I was beginning, to kind of wonder, it's like, this is really weird. I knew it was in an area that he had heard it too. So when I came out of the woods that evening, I was going to ask him, what he did or heard. And he met me at the truck. And the first thing he said to me was, "Did you hear those people talking?" And so, not wanting to tip my hand, really, I said, "I thought I did, but I couldn't make it out. Could you?" And he said, "Yeah, same thing here." And he's like, "They got kind of close, and it was like they were talking gibberish." And I was like, "Well, was it one person, two person?" Well, he's like, "It was definitely, there was two things, two people talking." He's like, and he's like, "I couldn't make out what they were saying." So that ride home, we kind of spent talking about what we both had heard. And so, like I said, we both hunt pretty often. And a few weeks later, we had both been to the woods multiple times, and each had heard a few more, odd things. We had a few more talking episodes, a whoop, some rock clackings, just a few weird things, but nothing that was definitively anything. It all could possibly be explained away, essentially. So about another morning, about 3 weeks after the initial incidents, I had a work commitment and couldn't join him in the woods. He was going to go hunting early in the morning. So about 6 a.m, I get a call from my brother. I knew he was going, so hoping nothing went wrong, I answered the phone, and he was immediately sounded upset. After a few minutes, calming him down, I finally got it out of him that something had screamed at him as he was almost to his stand. So, like I was telling you before, my brother, he's a pretty tough guy. He was my bigger brother, the protector, big and tough, and I had never heard him sound as scared as he was in that call. He told me it was like nothing he had ever heard before. It sounded like it was, wanting to tear him apart, he said. And he just was freaking out. And he said there was like a grunting and a growling together, after the scream, that he could essentially feel it shaking in his chest. He wanted to run, he wanted to hide, he didn't know what he wanted to do. It freaked out. It was pitch black, no light. So he decided to, make the last little bit to his stand, and got up in his stand and just was waiting for the sun. So, he called me, and he's like, I'm not letting you off the phone. Stay on the phone with me. Stay on the phone. So, I stayed on, and, it was about a half hour. And then, I'm trying to tell him, listen for stuff. And finally, the sun was coming up, and he said he shushed me. He's like, I hear something. I hear something. And then he said all of a sudden it was like a freight train had exploded through the woods about 75, 100 yards and was heading away from him. He never saw anything. He said, but it was, it was crazy. So once he finally couldn't hear anything, he hightailed it out of there. So a few days later, after kind of, the shock of it all wore away, we went back out to our land and tried to find some signs of it. And other than a few broken branches, there really wasn't much, to see. And, my brother, who, I credit for even going back out there, wasn't wanting to really stay very long. So we got his stand down and left the area. We kind of decided, we'll leave that part of the lease. We'll just hunt the other side. It's a pretty good sized property. So we figured we could avoid it and just kind of move on. So, a few days go by, we're talking about it and discussing it. And we kind of convinced ourselves that if whatever made those screams wanted to hurt him, it could have done it. It was pitch black. He couldn't see anything. And we just kind of convinced ourselves that, it was just a warning. Hey, stay away. And, we at this point are beginning to think maybe this is something, and, but a few weeks go by and we're really big hunters. And the rut in Ohio, usually starts around the end of October into November, and it was getting to be close to that time. And, so back to the woods we went, basically. And, a few hunts later, I was in my stand. It was, first week of October-ish, somewhere in there. And it had been a pretty wet year that year, so a lot of the leaves had stayed on later than normal. And I was in my stand, and it was one of those kind of days when like a strong breeze makes it look like it's, snowing leaves, basically, out in the woods. And I was sitting there, and then I heard it again, the chatter. And it was, out in front of me, and this time it was a little higher pitched than I remembered. So needless to say, I was on full alert, a little bit nervous. And then I started to hear something sounded like it was, coming towards me. And my stand, just for a little visual reference, it sits on a flat about 30 yards across, and I have valleys that go down on either side of me. My stand is on the left side of that flat. There's a lot of, big oaks and some other brush, stuff like that too. And on my left-hand side, I like to watch the deer come from out in front of me. And there's two natural shelves that run along that hillside. One's about, 20, 30 yards below me. And there's another one about 50, 60 yards. And the 30-yard one I can see always. The one lower, it's a lot harder to see. There's a lot more, brush. I have two shooting lanes that are cut. One about, 45 degrees out into the front of me, and then one, 90 right down below me. And it was coming out in front of me, the noises. And, suddenly it sounded, I don't know, it's weird to say, but it sounded like two monkeys, chit-chatting, you hear in the zoo. It was just weird. And all of a sudden I could as I'm hearing this and it's getting closer, and it sounded like there was two different noises, something on the ground. And then it was like there was something in the trees. And I thought at one point I seen the trees starting to move out in front of me to the left. And all of a sudden there was a breeze that kind of shifted, and it came at my back, and it would have been in my face, which it normally is. And when that happened, all of a sudden there was a noise. It was kind of like a grunt and a huff, and all of a sudden that's a terrible example. Sorry, but
that's all right.
All of a sudden the noises stopped. Everything, the sound on the ground, the trees moving, the noises in the trees, all of it just completely stopped. So I'm sitting there for a few minutes. I'm looking, and everything had gotten, eerily quiet. There was no sound, no nothing, no squirrels moving, no birds chirping, anything. And after it felt like an eternity, but it was probably, 3 or 4 minutes. A nice, gust of wind came again, and the leaves start falling like that again. And then I heard another noise, and it was like a sound, like kind of louder, like kind of not a whistle, but, like a whoosh, whoosh. And when that happened, I heard some limbs breaking, and it sounded like 2 tree stumps, like falling out of the trees and landing, like 2 distinct, thuds on the ground. And it was followed by 2 things that were clearly running down the hill. And, I've been hunting since I'm 6 years old. I know what deer sound running away, and it didn't sound like deer running through the woods. Deer, they kind of make that bounding noise, through the woods. And this was definitely something running away. And those noises kind of ended pretty quickly. And they were out in front of me, and they kind of went from about 45 degrees out in front of me to my left to about 60 degrees, down the hill. And, that, kind of after the initial shock of that, my attention kind of turned back to what made like the deeper grunts and the, the other noises. And it sounded like it had come from that lower shelf, about 60 yards. That's about below me. But now it's out in front of me, it's probably more than, around 80 to 100 yards away from me. And like I told you in our earlier talks, in Ohio, you're lucky if you're in the middle of the woods and you can see 100 yards. That's just kind of how Ohio woods are. There's a lot of rolling, and lots of undergrowth and thick stuff and brush, and things can just disappear in the woods like that. And so I'm looking for any kind of sound, anything. All of a sudden, I hear like a squirrel coming from my right-hand side, and it's coming across the top of the flat, and it's kind of heading down over towards where I had heard the last noise. And all of a sudden it shot up a tree and started barking its head off. So I'm watching right over there everywhere. And I hunt with a compound bow and a crossbow. And on that hunting trip, I had taken my crossbow. And it just dawned on me to pick that up and start looking through the scope. And as I'm doing that, I'm scanning. I'm looking where I think the squirrel's barking. And that's kind of when I saw something when I did see something that kind of changed everything. And it was a hand. It was just a hand, and it was wrapped around like a big oak tree, like holding on. And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking, and I'm, I wasn't really believing it at first. And I look off and blink off the scope and then look back. And, as I look back on it again, it moved. It repositioned the way it was holding. It kind of reached a little bit farther around the tree. And, at first all I could see was just a hand, and as it moved a little farther, I could see a little bit of the arm, like, the wrist area. It was covered in hair. It was really dark skin. So I'm looking on either side of this tree to try and see like what this is attached to. It was a bigger tree. And then I saw it. It was very slowly and methodically, a face began to creep around the tree and was looking directly up at me. It was like, imagine if you're, playing hide and seek, in the woods, and you peek around the tree, to look at somebody. That's what it did. And it was almost a black face, dark hair. And I'm looking down there through my scope on my bow. And as I look, it's looking directly up at me. Now, it's not like searching around the woods to see something. It's looking right up at where I was positioned. And my stand had been in there. That was the second year. I'd left it, over the year. It was a hang-on stand, has a, climbing sticks up to it. So I assumed that something that might live in those woods would know that it was there. And as it looked around, it looked, like I said, right at me. And as I'm looking through the scope, I could literally see its eyes widen, like, oh, what are you doing here? What are you, almost like as if she was surprised. And it pulled its face back and pulled its hand back, and there was no mistaking it. I instantly knew what I had saw, and as we're sitting there, I'm looking, and I didn't see anything. It was behind the tree. And then all of a sudden, all this is interrupted by rock clackings, like someone taking two rocks and banging them together rapidly, you know, like bang, 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 bang. You know, it did it 3 times. And it was followed by like a quick high-pitched whistle. And this was down the hill from where I had heard the things run off before. And when that happened, it was like she made a sound from behind that tree, and it was almost as if she was like shushing them, you know, and I assumed it was little ones. I assumed that she had 2 babies with her because it sounded like two different things running. And, you know, it was amazing. I didn't know what to think. And so, you know, I just kind of instinctively lifted my bow back up, and I'm looking back down. And as I'm looking back down by that tree where she was behind, she, you know, put her head around the tree again. And this time her face wasn't the same. She before had, you know, kind of surprised, you know, kind of just docile look about her. This time she was not happy. And it was clear that she was not happy. She was showing her teeth. Her eyes were, you know, slanted and you know, squeezed tight. And it was, she was not happy that I was there. And I didn't even think about it. You know, maybe I'm pointing this, you know, what, maybe they know them as weapons or bang sticks or what they think are guns or whatever, you know, and she just was not happy. So every couple of minutes I'm watching, I'm looking, I kind of put the bow down a little, and I knew, you know, she was still there, because if she had moved at this point, I had kind of found her, you know, I kind of had pinpointed her. And if she had went back the way she had come, you know, I think I would have, you know, at least seen something. And then the wind picked up again, and there was more of the leaves falling. When that happened, she moved from one tree to the next, you know, about 5 yards away. And over the course of the next, you know, 5 or 10 minutes, every time she would do this, she would move from tree to tree. She got to a point where she would either have to cross my shooting lane that I had cut out, or she would have to take a route back the other way. And it's kind of odd how this little piece is, you know, she would have had to go off of a weird drop off, and I think I would have heard her fall, you know, not fall, but jump off of that. So I'm sitting there, and, you know, she was at the last tree right before, you know, going out into that shooting lane. And I knew she was there. She was about 7 foot tall, I would say, a little more than, probably 7 to 8 foot. And she had a very big body, but it was somehow kind of like lean. You know what I mean? It was like she was just strong, just big and strong, but not real, you know, like, I guess fat, you know what I mean? For lack of a better way.
Yeah.
of saying it. And I call her because I could see breasts. At one point when she kind of went around, you know, she kind of turned, you know, that body turned towards me, and you could see them. I mean, it was pretty distinct. She's standing at that last tree before the shooting lane, and as she's just about to step out, I'm lifting my crossbow up to look down there through my scope again. And right as I'm lifting it up, she kind of steps out and looks up at me and stops. And I'm looking at her through the scope, and she turned and faced me. And she had this look on her face. I could see it for a half a second, you know, and it just wasn't happy. I lowered the bow, you know, and she kind of took like an aggressive stand, not like down on all fours or crouch, but kind of like how like a linebacker lines up, you know, and she just had this aggressive stance, and she kind of began to like growl and show her teeth. And she even took as much as, you know, 3 or 4 steps towards me. So I instantly just put my bow, I hung it up on my hanger, and she just stood there looking at me for, you know, a good 30 seconds, and just would kind of take a step towards me and kind of, you know, growl a little bit. And then she just moved off and went right towards where I had heard the 2 things run. And to the bottom of that hill, it's about, you know, 400 or 500 yards downhill. When she took off out of that shooting lane, she was kind of running, not like sprinting, but she was moving quick. And she was going down. I could hear them kind of moving through the woods and making some sounds down there. And at the bottom of the hill, I was just about, to be just about stopped hearing them when I heard a big, like a giant pop and crashing sound. Like, I mean, you've been out in the woods, you've heard trees fall down, and it was like something had broke a large tree. And I included in my email, I don't know if you got it, a picture of, it's a pretty healthy tree. And I'd say it's probably maybe 6 to 10 inches around. My gauge is a little bad on that. But it was broken about 3-4 feet off the ground, just snapped over and broken. And, after that, hearing all that, I kind of, I was pretty shaken, needless to say. And I felt pretty unwelcome in my woods. So once I was able to finally get down and get out of the woods, I got down out of my stand and I just left. It had the flat nose. It didn't really have a cone head. It didn't have the conical shape as much on the top that a lot of people see, but it was very, very distinct features. Big cheekbones and a flat nose. And when it growled and it showed its teeth at me, they weren't pretty white teeth. They were, yellow, ugly teeth, and they were real big. No fangs. I couldn't see like fangs or anything like that. I don't know if I'm sure you've seen the Todd Standing stuff, his documentary. The final picture of that, the one that's hiding that he shows in his documentary, it looked a lot like that. It was, it wasn't the face of a monkey. It wasn't the face of a gorilla, but it wasn't the face of a human. It was almost like the perfect mesh of both, to be honest.
There you have it, folks. Wow. That's another great one.
Wow, that was a great story.
It really was. The first one I think is more powerful, but this one was still a really good story as well. It's just, it's just, it just resets everything. Hi, Eliza. Good to see you. Good to see you, Bomber. Good to see you come back. Wondered where you been, but good to have you back. So, I think these are incredible. And again, special thanks to Wes Germer for letting us play those here on the show. We've been playing several of them for the past couple weeks, I guess. And they've been an incredible addition to what we're doing here on the portal. And if you want to hear more of those or other Sasquatch Chronicles episodes, you can either head over to SasquatchChronicles.com and check out the archives over there, or check out the playlists he has over on his YouTube, youtube.com/Sasquatch Chronicles. And these video shorts are absolutely epic. And remember, again, each one of these is a fragment of the interviews that he does with these people. So there's more to hear if you find the full versions, but it's just a phenomenal introduction into, several different people having some incredibly profound experiences, up close and personal in many cases, and just how you hear it in their voices, in their descriptions, in their, in their experiences. I think the biggest thing is that what keeps coming back to me is how absolutely emasculated many of these men are after these experiences. It's like, I think that in our own worlds, in our own experience, we think, well, I'm a good sized guy. I can take care of myself, I can take care of my loved ones and stuff. But then you're confronted by something that is off the charts. It's not even in the same ballpark. It's just, it's like a little league versus a pro player. It's just, they're two different worlds of physicality, of ability, and just absolute raw power. And even these men that are, outdoorsmen and the tough salt of the earth types are basically trembling because they've been confronted with something that's just doesn't fit into our frame of reference at all. And, honestly, none of these experiences that we've talked about or that we've heard from these, none of them are sounding extraordinarily aggressive. I think Claire's experience from I Shouldn't Be Alive, that That one is probably the closest to a extraordinarily aggressive encounter, and she was dragged. Again, there's more to that story. Again, if your only experience with the story of Claire and her encounter is from the shorts, definitely go over and find the full version. I think it was 515 is the episode number on Sasquatch Chronicles. Listen to the whole thing. It's just so profound, so incredible, and there's so much more that happens after the fact that is just bizarre as well. So there's so much to unpack on all of these, but it's just been a real pleasure putting them on the show and introducing maybe some of you to the Sasquatch Chronicles. I don't imagine there's many, bless you, I don't imagine there's many of you out there that aren't familiar with it already, but I mean, you can tell these encounters are so good that you could listen to them over and over. I can't tell you how many times I've heard Claire's encounter, but still, it still makes you just stop and listen because it's so powerful. So very cool. I hope you guys have enjoyed these. I think honestly now I've gone through pretty much all of them that are on his sites that he's finished, but maybe by this weekend he'll have more up, and if so, I'll be happy to bring some more. But we've always got plenty of material to go through, but it's just been really cool to showcase those. Wow, what an honor, right, Sheldon?
Just some great stories, honestly. And that story in particular, I don't want to end on a morbid note or anything, but I mean, it makes me wonder how many people thought to themselves, like, maybe they did pull the trigger at that moment. And that also kind of reinforces that they must travel in groups, because if that happens, and yet there's no body, that type of thing. It's something that just comes up in my mind is curiosity.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's of course many stories of people claiming to have shot them, and then by some rhyme or reason, whether it's another group comes in and apparently official group comes in and takes the body, or any other number of intrigues that have resulted as a result of that. But I don't know. It's hard to know. I know there's also a lot of people that make really enormous claims like that, and maybe don't have a leg to stand on. And that's the tough part. But I don't know. I think when you really do talk to somebody that's had an experience, you can hear it in their voice, because whatever that experience is, it's a life-altering moment. I mean, no doubt about it. So many people have been avid, active outdoors people that have hung it up. They hung it up. It's been a generational tradition, like hunting and stuff. And some of the people that have had these experiences, that's where it ends. They're done. They're just not going back out there. But again, you don't know when you're in that situation. Am I going to live past this? Is this the point that I'm done being alive? You don't know. And so I guess if you can walk away from it, maybe you want to stick with the pavement and sidewalks for a while, just because that's a lot safer. I don't know. Just saying. But again, I think in all of these cases, these beings could have been incredibly aggressive, but weren't. And I think that that's a really important point to take away. They posture. They definitely do everything they can to intimidate the hell out of people. But in every one of these cases, every one of these people could have been dead very quickly. But they weren't. They aren't. So obviously, this is an intelligent creature that practices a hell of a lot of restraint, because they could kill people easily. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. I know there's claims out there on both sides of that. I don't know. Personally, I don't know. But the point being is that they choose not to, which I think really denotes an intelligence and a desire not to harm. I don't think they want to harm people. But that's just my take on all of this. As you know, we've crossed the 2-hour mark here, so.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
How
Jeez.
about that?
Man, where does the time go?
I know, and I had so much more plans for the 2-hour show, but the news went long, and these videos were awesome, so I couldn't have done better anyway. So I'm glad that you guys enjoyed those. We'll keep them coming as they become available, and as Wes is willing to let us put them on the show, we'll definitely keep showcasing them here on the show, because, God, I mean, I can't take any credit for them, but I'm absolutely thrilled to show them here on the channel. So At any rate, folks, that's going to wrap it up for our presentation of the Paranormal Portal tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Special thank you to all of you who came in. And please continue to spread the word. Let other people know about the portal. Feel free to share these videos on your social media. We just passed 9,000 subscribers, which in terms of YouTube is still very small, but it's still a huge milestone for us. And because, we've gotten there over years of coming on here and doing our best. And so it feels like a real great reward to see that finally tip 9,000. And so we owe it all to you guys. You guys are the ones that are bringing people here. You guys are the ones that are spreading the word. And thank you so much for that. That's a very sincere, heartfelt thank you, because
Absolutely.
we wouldn't be here doing what we're doing if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you so much for being a part of our family of weirdos, as it were. So I think we're going to wrap it up. But Sheldon, anything in closing, sir?
Absolutely. As always, if you guys want to keep more in touch with us or the community in general, you can join our Discord. Got lots of great topics there. We'll be hanging out after the show. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, recommendations, whatever you guys want, just let us know in the Discord.
Doesn't he sound good? I mean, I'm so proud of him. He's just a regular. You're just a regular presenter now. I mean, you just got it. You got this rhythm. Very nice.
It took some getting used to.
Proud daddy moment.
Aw.
You're doing great, buddy. And thank you as well for being on the show with me tonight. That was wonderful. I'm sorry Don couldn't make it tonight, ladies and gentlemen. He got hung up at work, so I'm sure he'll be here Friday night. I do want to mention that on Saturday night, for those of you that have been part of the Portal family for a while, you'll remember we do these from time to time, but our very own Paranormal Portal psychic, Deborah Varner, will be here on Saturday night to do free psychic readings to callers of the show. So this Saturday night, tune in and get ready to dial in. And if you want a reading to look into some issues in your life, money issues, is your job right for you? Are you going to find love, whatever? Call in, see what she can do for you. She's an incredibly wonderful person, and she's the real deal. We just love her dearly. And she's coming back on Saturday night, again, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on YouTube. We'll also be on the network then, so we'll have the network breaks and stuff. But we will be doing readings. So, Brent, what did he get hung up on? I don't know. Not sure. Maybe they put him in his locker and didn't let him out. But yeah, Deb will be here on Saturday night, so tune in for that. I'm sure Don will be here on Friday, and he'll be glad to get back in the saddle. He misses you guys when he's not here. I know this is tough for him when he can't make it. He really does love to be here and be a part of the show. So send him lots of love, and hopefully he'll be able to make it on Friday. But that's going to wrap it up for us, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope, again, continue to spread the word. Check out the Teespring if you want some Portal gear. The link is in the description below. Check it out. You can go to teespring.com. It goes a long way to support the show. I mean, we certainly don't expect everybody to get something, but if you want to help support the show, it's one way you can certainly do that. So, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I'll be back tomorrow night. Sheldon, you're going to be here with me tomorrow night, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so Sheldon and I will be back tomorrow night for the Night Terrors, and Don will be here on Friday, and then Deb will be here Saturday, and then another Sunday show on the Night Terrors, and that's the production week. So if you haven't already checked it out, check out the podcast. It's available on all the podcast players: Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Google Play, Castbox, Stitcher. Check out the Paranormal Portal. This week's episode was an interview with Jack Carey. And he's, for several decades, been investigating the paranormal and a cryptozoologist. And just a fantastic guy. We had a great conversation. So check that out. And I guess that's it. So I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, especially nowadays, folks. We need to spread the positivity and help each other out. Remember to find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody. Love you all bunches, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Whoa. Sheldon's getting off. Ooh, that was a nice pose. Jesus. Roll the credits.